I was very broken. I was very depressed, in a very dark place in my mind and with my emotions. I wish I would have known this stuff years ago. I felt my life falling apart. I was working so hard to make my relationship work and to make everyone around me happy. I had like this tremendous battles going on inside with guilt, shame, and insecurities and everything else. Painful, and it's difficult, and it's scary, and there's ups and downs, but you gotta just keep going through it. And I'll tell you guys, there is tremendous light at the end of the tunnel. The school, society, they're all busy putting us in these boxes. Everyone walks like this, talks like this, dresses like this, but no one's telling us, okay, but how do we deal with all these emotions that are within us? There's no easy way out. Living without fear is one of the greatest things. If you want to really grow and achieve the best version of yourself and truly find inner peace and happiness, this is the place to go.
When you saw the part of your personality that was impacting her and you got the clarity on what's going through her head, can you share a little bit about what that was like when you started seeing, oh, when I am a certain way, even if I don't say anything, this makes her feel a certain something? When you were able to get to the part that you could actually go into her head and see the way she was saying it.
Well, first of all, it was tremendous relief and tremendous clarity. I finally got the missing piece as to why all the things I was doing out of love to her wasn't perceived that way. What was the block of my actions, right? How come I was doing certain things that I wanted a certain result and I wasn't getting it? And I finally realized that it was the inner cat that was in my way, right? So that was like tremendous relief, realizing what wasn't working. And then the other thing was realizing also, like you said, like understanding, like after week one is one of the things is realizing, right, what a man's role is, but another one is how do women perceive our energies, how important it is, the energy we're bringing in, where our inner world's at. If we're doing something, but our energy is not in a positive way, our energies is wherever we are at, that's where I never really understood like what it says that, you know, the man's role is to be the mashpia, right? I never understood what that means until I started doing this. And I realized, whoa, the energy I bring in, right? I'm the initiator of the energy I bring in. So I'm the one, if I bring in a certain energy, that'll change everything. And the inner cat was blocking my positive energy, my real love and my real flow that I wanted to give. It was just stopping it from coming out.
So a lot of guys, especially early on in the program, and maybe it's hard for you to remember, they don't just report relief. Initially, they say it's painful.
This whole program, by the way, this whole program is not for people who are faint of heart. Like if you're faint of heart and uncomfortable being uncomfortable and you're not interested in really pushing through a lot of pain, a lot of inner struggle, a lot of times feeling completely
Don't scare everybody.
It's not that bad. The beauty is after you go through, it's like in the military, the most powerful people are the Navy SEALs, right? They have to go through that hell week. That's what makes them the most powerful people. In the military, what makes someone not be afraid of struggle is going through that struggle. So this is a very painful struggle, but I can tell you one thing, after this basic training, you'll feel like an absolutely different person. Like in Russian, there's a phrase that you go into the military as a boy and you leave as a man. So you go into this journey as a boy and you leave as a man. Right before that, you're a boy who was upset, who holds grudges, who was a lot of upsetness, depression, all these other things. But if you really want to go through and become the man you were meant to be, then it's going to be painful. I'm not going to lie. It's a lot of pain.
Right.
I got him over that pain.
I didn't want to focus on how painful it is. I wanted to point out that it is painful because both times, you said 2 times so far in our conversation, you were like, relief. Oh, I felt free. I think you said that, like free and relief. I want guys to understand the maturity you brought and the discipline, the work. You leaned into the training. You showed up. You asked questions. You showed up in our sessions. You showed up on the Q&As. You used the help desk. You used the email support. You wrote out your assignments. This was quite intense. If there is some pain in the process, like any workout, you're going to be sore, and then afterwards you feel better. So here it's just in an emotional, psychological, and spiritual sense. There is a process of you just unlocking your higher identity, unlocking what is the exact part of my personality that really needs to shine, and which parts of my personality are not really me. And I would do well if I avoided those things. And that there is a lot of relief in that, but it's also painful because you have to face yourself in a very deep, personal way. You know, there's really a couple of stages in marriage transformation, particularly in your situation. There's a stage of the husband figuring out what he has to do different. Number 2, internalizing it. You mentioned it before. Actually, like I could know what I need to do different, but to actually make those things part of my default personality and my intuition, the way I show up automatically, as opposed to me trying to force and impose certain behaviors on myself. That's not me. But then there's another stage, and that is it takes time for a woman to trust those changes. It's not black and white. Can you talk a little bit about, you know, because guys watching this are going to want to know, Okay, what changes have you seen? Granted, you are very much in the middle of the process. Like we said before, you're still separated. What changes, if any, have you seen in the relationship with your wife? You also mentioned earlier you're seeing changes in your life in areas that have nothing to do with the marriage. If you can talk about both of those so guys can understand, what does it look like when you're actually making those changes? What are the little things you start saying that encourage you, both in terms of, like I said, what's going on in your relationship with your wife and things that are unrelated to the marriage, just indicate that you're operating from your higher identity.
So to go back a little bit, part of going through the program is realizing about the inner cat and realizing how aspects from my inner cat were causing pain and discomfort to my wife. So right now it's like, okay, how can I have less of that and more of the real me, my higher identity come out? It makes it a better space. Now I feel like we're slowly communicating better. Before I thought there was really no hope. I came into this program thinking this is over. I just, for me, I need to know that I gave everything before I can call it quits. I really thought it was over. There was no hope. I was like, okay, I'm giving it the final thing. So I know in my heart, I did the best I can for the sake of my kids, for the sake of my family, for the sake of me, for the sake of my wife, whatever. I'm just going to go in and do this with just jumping off the cliff, flying out of the nest. And then realizing now we're like, it's been a time and a long journey, but we're starting to communicate a little and it's getting, slowly, it's getting better. And I'm realizing things more and more. This internalizing part, like you said, one is realizing, okay, what do I need to do different? And the other thing is actual the change and internalizing it. It's not easy.
Making it part of you, because one of the things, and this is not going to be relevant to guys who have very early stage marriage problems, but once marriage cancer sets in, and particularly once the more advanced stages set in, like what happened in your situation, one of the major fears a woman has is he manipulating me? Are these changes really him? Is this really him, or is this just a show? Am I going to be an idiot for trusting his changes? What am I going to tell my friends and family? When I told them I'm getting divorced, I'm done, and I even may have said all those juicy details, negative ones about him to my friends and family. This happens to hundreds of thousands of couples. I'm not speaking specifically about your relationship. I'm talking about the broader picture of what goes on behind the scenes in a woman's mind when her husband is making changes. Like, 1 second, now you made those changes after all that, and what am I going to tell my friends and family? We need to understand and respect that process. It is a journey, and that's why it's so easy for a lot of men to give up prematurely, because they don't want to pay attention to the fact that the marriage cancer grew in their marriage for 10 or 15 years, and they want to solve it in 2-3 months.
I'd really add to this if I can, that for me, the fascinating thing is it's not just that, yeah, the marriage cancer grew over years and the transformation is taking me longer and there's all that. But I could say, like, to answer the previous question, like how this is affecting my life, I've had things that I've struggled with from early childhood. I always felt like an outsider. I was a child of immigrants. English was my second language. Even though I was born in America and I was bullied in school, I had an accent in my English till 8th grade. I had a lot of difficulties just figuring out who I am, where I am, what I'm doing. Life journey was a little bit all over the place. And the amazing part of the transformation is like the effects of how it's changing my life in all aspects. Like it's changing my life. Like I said before, life was a scary thing outside of me. I need to make more money to figure this. I need this. I need this. I have this huge hole inside that I was trying to fill up with different things where I was like, 1 second, stop a second. And like the painful process is dealing with that hole inside of me. I'm not just going back and fixing years of marriage cancer. Like when I was in therapy before starting this program, I was petrified when you were like, we can't do therapy at the same time. We got to go one track. It's not going to work altogether because we're doing two different things. And I was really afraid to do that. Not afraid, but I was like lost. And I was like, now I realize this is fixing all those traumas, the difficulties, the issues, the scares, the fears, stuff from childhood. All these things were blocking me from being the real me, not just with my wife, being the real me at work, saying my real opinions, living my own life, going my own journey, being my real self. God created 8 billion people on this planet, and society's putting all these blocks on us. You have to walk like this. You have to talk like this. It's like in America now, it's unfortunate. It's like I'm in Ukraine and Russia. They're killing each other. These people fought shoulder to shoulder 35 years ago in Afghanistan, and now they're killing each other. They speak the same language, same culture, same everything. In America, you have a split right across the middle because everyone's like, those are the evil people, and those are the evil people, and we can't even sit at the same table. People are so much in fear. They can't just be themselves. They can't express their opinions. I came back to America and I'm telling my friends, hey, guys, you guys are going down a bad path. I saw it in Ukraine just now. You're going down a very bad path. Part of it is the hard work, and then it affects the marriage. And that's the hardest thing, seeing how much pain you're actually causing the person you love so much. and how much, why things aren't working out. But the beauty is the transformation. And why I think it's so difficult for me is because it's fixing a lot of stuff that I've been running away from for years. And I've been running really fast and really hard. Like I see people aren't real anymore. They don't say their opinions. They don't share their feelings. It's like, for me, when I started this program, I had a big fear. Part of the program is going to join group sessions. And for me, I felt super uncomfortable. For me, I'm like, I was brought up in a certain culture where whatever's inside the house is inside the house, and outside is a scary world. It's like, stay away. Like, there's a huge border, right? We don't discuss what's going on inside the home with outside people. And then, like, I'm struggling. Oh, everyone is good, and my thing isn't working out. And then the huge growth was overcoming that fear inside and realizing, okay, there's a lot of people that are struggling. It's normal. Most people are struggling in life. People are trying to work out and be more healthy. People are struggling with surviving, making money, growing their businesses, getting work. Everyone's struggling. It's normal. And people struggle in their marriages. When you come together and you figure it out and you share ideas and you give each other support, it's an amazing thing. But I had this huge fear. I started the program, and for the first 2 weeks, I couldn't feel comfortable to go. I was like, okay, I'm going to study this. I'm going to do the work, but I'm not going to, it was really out of my comfort zone. And breaking out of these things that were holding me back from being the real me. That's the amazing part of this program. It's breaking out of that. And that's taking me a long time. I thought I'd be done much quicker, but I didn't realize how much internal work. And it's painful and it's difficult and it's scary and there's ups and downs, but you got to just keep going through it, And I'm telling you, there is tremendous light at the end of the tunnel. In the beginning, I didn't believe in it. I didn't think it's possible. I didn't think it was, I'm telling you, I thought I tried everything in the world, and I did above and beyond what I thought other people do around me. And I realized, whoa, it is fixable. There is a way. And what helped me was understanding the inner cat, understanding everything in the program of how things work, energies work, conversations work, how to communicate. It's like no one teaches you these things. Here's school. You grew up as a kid. This is how you communicate. This is what you got to do. People teach you how to sell. They teach you how to do this, how to do that, but no one teaches you how to communicate. Unfortunately, our society pushes us to communicate things we don't want to. You have to dress like this person, walk like this person, talk like that person. All that stuff, it affects us from being the real us at home. And that's like, and then what type of example are we sending to our kids? Don't be yourselves. And the amazing thing is seeing the transformation in my kids, where they could just be themselves. This is what I wanted the most. I always wanted my kids to be the best version of themselves. I was like, I have these unique kids. They're beautiful. They're smart. They're curious. They're growing. And I was like, oh, I have to protect them from the scary world. And I realized the only way I could protect them by this scary world is by me fighting my own demons, by fighting my own monsters and stopping to run away from them and stopping the need to always be comfortable, to always be right, to always know everything. The biggest part of this growth was realizing, wait, I don't know everything. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to grow, like you say a lot in the program. Presidents have coaches and business leaders have coaches. The top businesses in the world all had coaches. Steve Jobs, up and down, however you want to look at it. Everyone had business coaches. And it's normal.
Anybody in the top of their game, any Olympic athlete, anybody in the top of where they are politically, financially, sports-wise, health, they don't want to spend 30 years trying to figure out on their own. They just don't want to do that.
Exactly. And going to a coach, going to a professional and a team of guys who are trying to be, it doesn't make a difference. You could always perfect different types of your life. I wish I would have known about this years ago. I would have been in a complete, listen, it's all from God. Thank God it happened now and everything else. But like, guys, it's something we can always do better. Is go, if you're interested in growing, if you're interested in doing better, if you're interested in fixing, wherever it's holding, and you don't see any hope, and you don't think that it's fixable, or you think that it's the other person that's going to fix, or you even, God forbid, that another person is going to be better for you, that this person acts different, or that person acts different. Let me tell you something. At the end of the day, all men are men and women are women. We're running a Windows program. They're running an Apple program. Okay, we got to just figure out how to work these programs, how to be the best in both applications and be compatible. That's what I realized. I realized that I have to go through this program to the end because it's never going to work out. There isn't another person that's going to be different or better or whatever, because I'm realizing what in me was stopping him from working out and being that warm place, that warm home I wanted, that warm environment, and the transformation I see in my kids. I mean, it's wonderful. And the last, I just came back I was out of the country, just came back. I see them last few weeks and I see the beauty coming out and them being less afraid, less of my fears, my issues, my traumas are coming out on them. That's this generational passing of trauma to trauma. I'm going to put a stop here. But if you guys are brave enough to say you want to put a stop here and you want to grow out of this and you don't want your traumas to go on to your children, not just fixing your marriage. If you want your kids to be happy and healthy, you got to work on yourself. There's no easy way out. That's the way I see it now. I didn't have this clarity before, and I'm so glad that I got it. For my kids' sake, I'm just for my kids' sake, this was the best thing I could have done.
You mentioned a couple of times about therapy. You have been going to therapy. I want guys to understand this. Chaim has been going to therapy when he joined MFT. I require that you stop, that you don't go anymore, because it would not be consistent with what I teach over here. And you've indicated that you kind of don't feel the need to do it anymore. Now, you mentioned that we don't learn how to communicate. A lot of guys would say, what do you mean? I'm learning how to communicate. I'm going to therapy to learn how to communicate. What would you say to somebody who listens to this interview and says, okay, great. I'm going to counseling. I'm going to go to therapy. I'm going to work on myself. I'm going to learn how to communicate. I'm going to study communication. A lot of people officially teach communication, right? It's not like I'm the only guy that does it. But having been in AMFD, when you hear somebody saying, I'm going to work on my communication, I'm going to go to therapy, what would be your response to that person?
I already have friends that I'm talking about this stuff, but communication is not a skill that needs to be learned, right? It's not how you say it. It's not what you say. It's not how you say it. There's so much more to it, right? It's how to bring out your true self in that communication. If you want your communication to be honest, if you really want to be able to communicate and have true, honest, deep friendships, better relationships with kids, parents, with siblings, with partners in business, with employees at work, with, better at building trust, right? Business is all about building trust. If you want to learn how to build trust, you have to be able to bring yourself, because people subconsciously feel a lot of things in communication. The actual words are not the most important part of communication. And I kind of knew that, but I thought, oh, I can throw in positivity, right? I can throw in this and that and manipulate the conversation, but it never really works. It could work short term, but it's never going to work long term. You can never fake happiness to your kids. If your kids see you coming home every day tired and miserable, they're going to feel that energy, and they're going to feel that their home isn't a good place, right? If you coming to work, if you're coming anywhere, right? If you're anxious, even if you're not saying anything, or you're coming to a place where you're anxious, people feel that energy around you. They feel it. And if you're a business leader who's anxious, that energy goes throughout your whole company's nervous, and
It doesn't matter what you say, the communication, like the communication words you use, the specific words, will make a shred of a difference in that. So when we talk about communication, we're talking about subconscious communication, understanding the certain parts of you that show up, how it affects somebody else, regardless of what you say or do. And it's also about knowing when to open your mouth, when not to, based on that. Then there are also that subconscious communication and the strategic communication, such as there's specific words sometimes do bring out and highlight, like you said, explaining who I am to my wife, to people around me, to my students, to my clients, to my kids, people at synagogue, effectively are using certain keywords and sequences and phrases that allow the other person to see the real you, as opposed to learning communication and bombarding them with a whole bunch of stuff that it just sounds good, but it makes them naturally doubt.
Yeah, I'll even say more. One of the things that, I also tried to study communication. And one of the things that I was studying was authenticity is the strongest frequency out there. It's what people feel the most. But I couldn't realize part of going through this program is not just, okay, authenticity. You have to be authentic in communication. Now, what is authenticity in communication? Who am I? Right. And the inner cat that's blocking it, you have to go through a process, right? It's not just like say words or be authentic. It sounds good. Be authentic. I thought I was authentic. I thought I was the best version of myself. And I thought I was trying to do everything I could. I thought a lot of things. But then reality is you realize that there are different parts of your personality thinking different things.
Who am I?
Exactly.
Yeah. And that goes back to the 3 stages of transformation. It's really 4. It's like, what changes do I have to make? How do I make those changes part of me? How do I get my wife to trust those changes? And then number 4, how to help my wife deal with the people around her who have already gotten the wrong idea of me and are supporting in the wrong direction of hurting our relationship and in the direction of keeping our marriage and our family apart. That's a more advanced stage. We're kind of between stage 2 and 3 working on that. That is why communication itself is really empty. It's really like the mechanics of it. And women are really good at picking up these things. We spoke a lot in the program, and the reason why I made this was because men needed it. Because I needed it. Like you said, I wish I had it when I got married too. It would have saved me a lot of years and tears. It would have made life a lot easier for a lot of people around me and myself. Women really intuitively know this. They don't have the conscious breakdown, the intellectual, scientific breakdown that you've been through on a logical level. They know these things, and they feel if you're holding back your opinion, if you're not sharing it, if there's something in you that you don't want to say, that it's eating away at you and getting you frustrated. It's creating anxiety, or you're trying to fake confidence. You don't really have confidence. You're trying to fake happiness, but you don't really have happiness. Kids picked it up. Women picked it up. Even men picked that up. But women are sharper when it comes to that.
It doesn't have to just be from the relationship. It could be from struggles of life, from many things.
Right? Exactly.
It affects us, right? This program is how to be better in a marriage. It's how to be better in life, because those issues and difficulties, it's part of life, right? Struggle is part of life. It's normal, right? But how do we get that energy? How do you deal with difficult situations, just walking or driving and something difficult's happening? How does that affect your communication with your kids? None of us want to take out our negative energy on our children, right? We just want them to grow healthy, happy, and be well. But no one gives us the tools to deal with it. The school, society, they're all busy putting us in these boxes. Everyone walks like this, talks like this, dresses like this, thinks like this, votes like this, eats like this. But no one's telling us, okay, how do we deal with all these emotions within us? And that's something I didn't know how to do, how to process it in a healthier way. Therapy wasn't really helping me. It was all coming out and was just saying, okay, this was what happened. This was the cause of this. So this is a trigger. So the best way to do it, kind of what I was thinking was, okay, I have to put a wall here. I have to defend myself, avoid the triggers. And now triggers don't trigger me anymore. Whatever triggered me before is triggering me much less, but that's a lot of hard work.